Welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you live from beautiful Budapest in Central Europe. I hope everybody has had a great week so far. Today we are looking at IELTS listening, parts 1 and 2. Of course, since 2020, we call them parts 1 and 2 now, not sections. And these materials are presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, check us out there. And for the general version of the test, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of these websites, we have lots and lots of materials for you. Good to see you, Elena, in this class as well. Harmanpreet Kaur, hello. Anuin, nice to see you in the class. Students, our websites, they look like this. This is aehelp.com. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. And I'll quickly give you a 20% discount code here. So 20% off. Use code R4TYJ. R4TYJ. When you purchase the premium package, and you'll get 20% off of that. So again, R4TYJ. If you're a general IELTS student, you can do the same at gieltshelp.com. Again, 20% off there, R4TYJ. Just click that big red button to join the premium package there. And of course, we have apps. You can link your web accounts to your apps. The websites are fully responsive. You can use them on your phone, tablet, PC. But if you like using an app, you can do that too. Get Academic IELTS Help or General IELTS Help from your app stores. If you have questions, you can send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, and I will happily respond to your inquiries. Okay, students, let's get into the listening for today. So right away, let's warm up our ears, our brains with some English. We'll do some listening from our website. This is test number 3, parts 1 and 2. So first, I'll just quickly log in to my student account on my web page here, and then once I'm into my student account, then I'll get into my audio CDs. I know it's a bit bright because it's a lighter colored backdrop here, and then we're going to get right into the listening. Students, please don't write your answers. Do not write your answers in the chat. Give everybody a fair chance to answer. We will go through the answers after together. So for now, just write it into another document or a separate piece of paper, okay? We will go through the answers together, so do not write them in the chat. Give your peers a fair chance, okay? Shiva, the listening is the same for the academic and the generals. Listening and speaking sections are the same for both exams, okay? So here we go, students. I'm using my head mic here for this and a high-quality Bose speaker, but if it's quiet for you, please use a headset and turn up the volume. I'm maxed out on my end, so I can't go any louder. Here we go. Listen and answer.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 women as one of the women registers her daughter for nursery school. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
The woman says she would like to register her daughter for half-day nursery school. So A has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
So your daughter's name is Matilda Johnson?
Yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda, Matilda, and the last name is Johnson, but it's not the common spelling. It's spelt Jonnsson. My husband is Swedish, which explains the different spelling.
Right. And what is Matilda's date of birth?
She was born December 25th, 2006.
So she was born at Christmas. That is incredible.
Yes, she was an incredible present to get for Christmas. It certainly was the most memorable Christmas I've had.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay, so now I need Matilda's personal education number, which she should have received in the post recently.
I don't remember receiving such a letter in the post.
It would have come from the Department of Education, and they always post things in yellow envelopes. You don't remember seeing a yellow envelope in the post?
In fact, I do, but I didn't open it. My husband did. He didn't mention anything about a personal education number. Now he's away with work and I won't be able to reach him.
Well, we can retrieve the number. I'm going to need your national insurance number as well as your husband's. I'm going to need your husband's name as well.
My husband's name is Eric, with a K instead of a C on the end. His last name is Johnson, of course. His national insurance number is DF987745W, and mine is KL409115N.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Right. Okay, let me see here. All right. Here is a personal education number. I'll give it to you now so that you can write it down for future reference. It is T56340192.
Just to make sure, the first character is T as in Thomas.
Yes, and this letter in front of the number shows what region the child is originally from. The T in this case refers to Tyne and Wear.
That would be correct, I'd imagine. Matilda was born in Newcastle, which of course is in Tyne and Wear.
Okay, so we have all the information about Matilda that we need. She is now registered for half-day nursery school in September. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I was wondering what sort of training your nursery school teachers have.
That is a very good question. Each of our teachers has, at a minimum, a 2-year diploma in early childhood education. Many of our senior staff have bachelor's degrees in education in addition to the 2-year diploma, and our departmental head, Miss Janet Roth, has a postgraduate certificate, bachelor's degree and diploma. Do not worry, Miss Johnson, your daughter Matilda is in very good hands.
That makes me feel a lot better. Can you tell me when the first day of school is, and also will there be an orientation day for new students and parents?
The first day of class is the 5th of September, and yes, we do have an orientation day. It takes place on the 3rd of September from 9 to midday. Parents and children are strongly encouraged to attend.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, students, and check those answers in the half minute. Let's stop the audio. Coming back to this. Now let's do this together, and I'll teach you some strategies. All right, here we go. So, lots of multiple choice questions here, and different kinds as well. And I know students often find multiple choice challenging. Just a couple of quick notes. So from this year in 2020, you don't have this example, so you don't have this extra time. And we're going to be taking these out of our exams as well. So don't expect to have this example, okay? So just a quick note here. From 2020, no example in the listening section, okay? No example for listening part 1. Now, they're not going to be called listening sections either. They're going to be called listening parts. So listening part 1. So do not expect this extra time. Okay. All right. Tip number 2. For paper-based exams, try to look at the subject of part 2, 3, and 4 in the instruction time. If the proctor asks you to not turn the page, then just stay on part 1. Okay? There is no hard rule that you can't turn the page. It just says follow the instructions. So the instructions say now turn to part 1. But if you can, check part 2, 3, and 4. Anybody remember what part 2, 3, and 4 are about? So in the beginning, that's what I did. I quickly scrolled to part 2, 3, and 4. Anybody catch the topics of part 2, 3, and 4? So what was, okay, so yeah, I see the Cyrillic there. So something about Egypt in part 3. Yeah, it would have been money. Okay. So something about money. But part 2, so I don't know if you caught that, but part 2 was something about a university. Okay. Part 3 was something about money. And part 4 was, anybody catch it? What was part 4 about? So don't be too anxious, students, to give me answers. I'm sure you're excited to show me that you caught the information. Okay, so something about a university. Yeah, very good. Good for you, okay? I can't read the Cyrillic, unfortunately, your name. But yeah, it was something about university. Okay. It's a good idea to do this. You can't do it in the computer-based exam, but in the paper-based exam, you can do it. It's a good idea to do this because it helps your brain to get ready for those sections. Tim. Okay, Tim. So yeah, Tim, that was good. And number 4, Saminder says, was something about Newton. Very good, Saminder. Yeah. Okay. So part 2 was about university. Part 4 was about Newton, Isaac Newton. Very good, Saminder. Thank you. All right. So part 2, university. Part 3, something about money. Part 4, Newton. Good. All right, number 3. For multiple choice answers or multiple choice questions, I'll give you some strategy. A, paraphrase the question in your mind during the preparation time. Change questions to statements. Okay, so let's hop back here. So this is the first one. It's multiple choice. What is the woman's husband's nationality? So I want to take this sentence, and while I'm preparing, I want to change this into what I think I'm going to hear during the listening. What is that? What do you think you're going to hear during the listening? What is the most likely phrase or statement that you might hear from the speaker once you hear the audio? So this is what you want to do. You want to predict the closer information, because then your ear will listen for that people or that information, okay? That piece of information. So what do you think? Okay, good. So Ulugbek says probably we'll hear the word from, okay? Ulugbek, so Rajveer says the woman's husband's nationality is. That's not bad, Rajveer, but that's probably not what you're going to hear. TC and Rajan, you're not going to hear the question likely. Okay? If we look at this, we can see that it's going to be some kind of a conversation. So my guess would be my husband is from. Okay, so this would be my guess. Do you agree? Yeah, Elena, very good. So Elena says he comes from. Yeah, very, very good. Now you're getting it. So that's what you're likely to hear. Okay, so when you're reviewing these questions and you see this kind of a multiple choice question, you want to convert it in your mind to this type of a statement, because then your ear will catch that information much better. Okay, so my husband is from, and then what was the correct answer here? Is he Swiss, Swedish, or Swazi? A, B, or C? Okay, what do you think? And she does say, my husband is from Sweden. He is Swedish, right? So the correct answer is B. Very good. Okay, so you indicate B and you move on, all right? Now, the second important step with multiple choice is listen for the answer and register it in your mind before you decide on the answer. Okay, so one of the reasons multiple choice tests can be kind of tricky, especially for some people, is because they really stare at the answers and they don't let their brain kind of process the information. So you want to let your mind process the information and then decide on the answer. Okay, all right, let's move along and go through these. So how is a child's personal education number normally received? You'll probably hear this as usually we send the personal education number by, and then that. So that would be my paraphrase. Okay? And how do they usually send it? By email? Is it picked up from the school? Or is it sent out through snail mail, the post? Yeah, it's A, it's post. Okay? So by post, A. Okay, it's usually sent through the post. All right, so A is the correct answer. Again, remember to paraphrase this. At home, practice this on paper, and during the exam, your brain will be much faster to do it accurately. Okay? So make sure that when you're putting your answer into the answer key, you put the letter A. And students, I really strongly recommend that you don't use the small letter, but you use the capital letter for your multiple choice, okay? Just because capital letters are clearer than lowercase letters, okay? So use the capital letters, okay? That's my recommendation to you. All right, let's keep going. Question number 3. Why is the husband out of town? Is it for vacation, work, or family reasons? What does the woman say? So again, what you hear in the audio is, oh, my husband is away with work. That's right, B. Okay. Now, vacation is unlikely, right? Why? Most people aren't going to leave their wife and child behind and go on vacation on their own. So another really useful tool for multiple choice questions is logic, right? The wife and the child are somewhere in England and the husband is out of town. The most logical reason then is that it's work. The IELTS exam is logical, right? So if you use logic, that can really help you even if you miss a piece of information. So that's my third tip for your multiple choice questions, okay? When all else fails, and fundamentally also use logic to help you identify the correct choice, okay? Logic can really help, all right? Let's jump back here. Okay, so here we have this interesting kind of question. Which three pieces of information are required to retrieve the child's personal education number? These can be quite tricky because there's a lot of information here and you have to choose several. So these are what I call the multiple choice questions because you have multiple choices. So you have 6 choices here and you have to have multiple answers. So I'm going to give you a couple of good strategies for this one as well. Okay, so this is what we call the multiple choice. Okay, so multiple choice questions. And sometimes they're worth more than 1 mark. Sometimes they're worth just 1 mark. A is spend a bit more of your review time on these questions when you see them. Especially if they are worth multiple points. Okay, so in this case, students, this one is only worth 1 point because it's just 4. But sometimes you'll see it'll go like 4-6, which means it's worth questions 4, 5, and 6, so it's worth more. So you have more information here when you're reviewing. In that review time, spend a few extra seconds on this one, okay? Spend a few extra seconds on this one. Now, here's a couple more tips, okay? Jot down the answers as you hear them on the question booklet. If the audio is too fast. Okay, so for some students, they say, Adrian, it's so fast for these questions that I have a really hard time catching the answers. So let's say that you hear that the answers are the woman's national insurance number. So you write down, okay, learn symbols in short form. So woman's national insurance. Okay, so I would write that down. If I hear woman's national insurance number, woman's name, man's name, okay, and man's national insurance number, let's say, for example. Okay, Now, we're not going to have the woman's name because she's already given that, right? So as you're hearing the information, you can jot it down, and this is faster than trying to skim read through all of these choices to identify that one of the pieces will be the woman's national insurance number. But again, use short form and use quick writing. So write it down and then look for it, okay? Instead of trying to skim through them. Because maybe the first one that you hear is going to be the last one. So you have to kind of look through all of this super fast to finally get here, when instead you can just go man's name, okay? And then you don't have to search. You can find it after at the bottom. Does that make sense, how I said that? Okay, so practice that at home. It does take practice to get it quickly. Okay, you just quickly write down the key words, and then you can figure it out. All right? So hopefully that makes sense. It works for a lot of students. And again, practice short form abbreviations, learning symbols, okay? It's much easier. Okay, so again, I'm happy that some of you are picking this up. Good. Thank you for the feedback, Harpreet. Rajveer, good. Okay, so jot down. That's why I said jot down, because jot down means that you're using short form. That's why I'm not writing write down, but jot down. Okay. Again, use logic. Okay, logic can help a lot. Don't get stuck on these questions. If you miss some part of it, leave it and come back to it during the 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer booklet at the end of the listening. Okay? So another reason these questions are a little bit dangerous is because students can get really stuck on these questions, and then suddenly the audio is on to the next, so you're listening and it's actually going for number 5. And I've noticed that oftentimes students are still stuck looking at this question and they haven't looked at number 5. So be really, really careful. Make sure to look at number 5 carefully when you're reviewing the questions, so that you know that you're supposed to be listening for the husband's name's spelling. So if you hear them start spelling like it's spelled E-R-I or it's spelled with a, then you know that it's past this question. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody, thumbs up? Yeah? You understand what I was cautioning you about there? So a lot of times with these multiple choice, they're tricky because students get hung up on them and they miss the audio that's coming afterwards. Okay, so you have to make sure that you don't get caught on these questions. If you didn't get them, move on. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you for that. Danica, Harpreet, great. All right, so let's answer this one. Which are the 3 pieces of information required to retrieve the child's personal education number? So which are the 3 pieces of information? What do we need? C is 1, the woman's national insurance number, of course. So then logically, D is the next one. Yeah, we would need the man, so it makes sense, right? You need both parents' national insurance number, and then the husband's name. And again, that makes sense because we already know the woman's name. She gives it at the beginning. And why would we need your personal insurance number? You should never give your personal insurance number to other people unless you're giving it to an insurance agent because they need it in case of an accident or some other situation, right? So be really careful. Okay, so C, D, and F. The order doesn't matter when you put it into your answer. I mean, you can't, you know, logically, you would put C, D, F like that into space number 4, and then you'll get it correct. Okay? All right? Yeah, logic is huge, students. Logic is really, really key for the exam. Okay? All right. Number 5. how is the husband's name spelt? So how do we spell the husband's name? Eric, E-R-I-C-K, Eric, E-R-I-C, or Eric, E-R-I-K? What do you think? A, B, or C? That's right, Violet. It makes us one of the most incredible creatures. Students, the correct answer here is C. Okay. Now, if you didn't catch it, right? So if you're like, oh, really? Eric, E-R-I-K? So it's C. Then what you can do is you can check the transcripts. So I'll show you that really quickly. Our books, of course, as good books will have the transcripts. It means all the script for the audio. So I'm going to jump to the transcript here for you, just so you can see it, and you can see why it's C. When you get a question wrong, always check your transcripts, okay? Don't be lazy to check the transcripts. Always look and ask yourself, hey, why did I get that wrong? What was the right one there? Okay. So here you see it, okay? Diane says, my husband's name is Eric with a K instead of a C on the end. So now many of you who said it was A will realize, oh yeah, wait a second. This word instead of is very important. So K instead of a C. If it were A, then it would be as well as, or a K after the C, okay? But here the woman said it's a K instead of a C. A little bit tricky for sure, okay? But remember, IELTS is testing for bands all the way to 9. 9 are not native speakers of English. Many native English speakers cannot get 9 on the IELTS. 9 is an expert user of the English language, such as an English teacher, such as somebody who's done master's, PhD in English, has written articles in English. That's your band 9 level, and some of these questions are testing for that, more in parts 3 and 4 than part 1. Okay. All right, let's get back to it. So, hopping back to the questions. Question number 6. What is Matilda's personal education number? Is it A, T563409192, B, or C, with a P or with a P here? Is it A, B, or C? Number 6. Anshal says it's got to be A. Yeah, and you're right. If you chose A, you're correct. There is no P. Okay, this question also helps you figure out that it's A. And the woman says, is that a T, like in Thomas, I think she says? And then the woman says, yeah, it is. It's a T, like in Thomas. Okay, so A was the correct one. Where was the child born? Number 7. A, Newcastle. B, London. C, Monterey. Where was the child born? What's the answer there? And again, they talk a little bit about it. They says Tyne and Weir, which is located in Newcastle. That's right. Very good, students. Yeah, it's A again. Okay. Now, sometimes students will come up with these really silly strategies, like if this one is A, then this one cannot be A. It has to be B or C. I'm going to choose C. I've actually seen that. I don't know if you have this in other countries as well, but in US and Canada, we say that if you don't know any answers in a multiple choice, just go with abacadabra for your answers. Abacadabra. I think it comes from the idea of abracadabra, like magic, abracadabra. But that's just crazy talk, students. Okay, that's just crazy talk. If you write abacadabra as your answer, Yeah, no, it's not going to work, okay? You can have A, B, B, B. There is no pattern to the letters, okay? So no abacadabra, okay? No abacadabbing on the IELTS exam. I don't think that is a strategy at all. All right, so here the answers were A and A. All right, back-to-back A's. Okay, I'm glad that Hikmatillo got a good laugh out of that. Okay, so again, one of these multiple choice questions. This definitely, again, where you write it down, it'll work. So choose two letters. What two qualifications do many of the nursery school senior staff have? So what are the qualifications that they have? What two qualifications? Okay, so many of you are saying B, a 2-year diploma, and E, a bachelor's degree. Very good. So again, it's B, E, okay? All into space 8. Another mistake that students sometimes make is they'll put the one of them to 9, and then suddenly they realize that they're running out of question lines in their answer sheet. So just be careful. Make sure you pay attention to the numbers for these multiple choice questions, okay? All right. Moving along nicely. Good, students. I think you're picking up a lot of what I'm putting down, which is nice. Questions 9 and 10, short answers. Complete the notes below. Write no more than 2 words and or a number for each. First day of class. What is the first day of class, students? Violet says the answer must be B and E. That's funny, Violet. All right. First day of class. 5th of September. Yeah, and Rajveer, that is the easiest way. So everybody take a look at Rajveer, our members' answers. So Rajveer, just put it like that. Okay. 5th Sept. That is the easiest answer. Abbreviation for September, SEPT. Just the number 5. The IELTS will mark this correct. Okay. So Sept 5 or 5 Sept. Pooza, yes, you can write uppercase for the answers in listening and reading. Don't do it in writing. Don't do it in writing, but you can do it in listening and reading. Okay, now, last one here. Something and children should attend orientation. So logically here, if the children should attend, parents, yeah, parents, that's right. Giri, Surbi, very good. Parents, and it's plural here. Parents, the rule usually in English grammar is if you have plural, then this should be plural if the plural is possible. So parents, children should attend orientation. Okay, parents will get it right. If you have no S, you'll get it wrong. Okay, so you need to have the S. Okay, makes sense? Okay, everyone, great. So I think you've picked up a lot of good information there. Let's do section 2, or I should say part 2. Still getting used to that change. Let's do part 2. Everybody ready to do part 2 with me? You ready for part 2? What do you say? Should we do it? Part 2? Yeah? All right, Hikmatillo got 9 out of 10. That's great. Let's get into part 2, and we'll count up our marks after, okay? So here we go. Part 2. Now, don't get surprised, students. Section 2 is definitely, or part 2 is more challenging than part 1. So let's go back here. Again, students, don't put your answers into the chat. Make sure to wait till the end. Okay, wait until the end so that everybody has a fair chance. Here we go.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you are here for the university campus tour, you are in the correct place. There are two purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of three periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Before we go any further, are there any questions? No? Right then. Next we are going to visit the university library. As you see in front of the library, there is a beautiful fountain which shoots water high up in the air. Once again, the funding for the fountain came from a former student, in this case a well-known artist. It was constructed just 15 years ago at the cost of £50,000. As we step into the library, I think what you'll notice at first is the fact there are no books. Indeed, there are no books at all on the entire ground floor. On the 5 upper floors, however, there are over 3 million books. The library's collection has been built over time through private donations, gifts from former students, as well as university purchases. There is also a special collections area where there are original works dating back to the year 1588. Next on our itinerary is a visit to the sporting facilities. Here at the university we have over a dozen different facilities for almost any sport you can imagine, ranging from football and rugby to tennis and squash to archery and cricket. Our rugby team has won the national championship 3 out of the last 5 years. As you'll see on your left is a famous wall where we put pictures of.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And again, students, make sure to check your answers in that time. All right, so here we go. let's do this together, students. So section 2, first we have a little bit of a form completion here, and let's do it together. So, what was the answer to number 11? When did this university open? What was the year? It's obviously much faster than part 1. There's much less repetition in part 2 and 3 and 4 than in part 1. Okay, so we have some close answers and we have some exact answers. So it's 1686. Yeah. And students always use numbers, and of course practice listening for words like 1686. Okay, because in English rarely do we ever say 1686 for years. Okay, we really don't do that. So 1686, we split it like this. We do that for phone numbers as well. It's just easier on the ears than saying 1686. Okay, so 1686. All right, always use numbers. 1745 to 1805, the university shut down. 1805 to 1815, how many buildings were built? Number 12. How many buildings were built in these years? Yeah, so Rajveer says a dozen. Okay, a dozen is okay, or you could just do this. All right, 12, this is easier than writing a dozen. So if you know that a dozen means 12, then just write the number 12. Okay, you can do dozen as well, but 12, this is the easiest answer. Okay, and in the past, how many years 7 more buildings were constructed? So number 13, how many in how many years, past years, were the last 7 buildings constructed? Anybody catch that one? 10, yeah. They're very modern, right? The newest buildings are modern. So, good. So, 1686, 12, and 10. Those are your correct answers. Okay, let's keep going. Here it was identifying the diagram. The Prescott Building, the original building, looked like A, B, or C. Yeah, B, very good. So the tour guide says it's 40 meters long and just 8 meters wide, right? So we know it's this one here, and it says it has these circular shapes in the corners, which were the bell towers. Okay, good. Let's keep going. Number 15, how many years ago were the Persian carpets donated? Again, that came quite fast. Hopefully you caught it. That's right, Rajan, 8 by 40 for that last one. Yeah, so it's 150. Okay, you don't have to write years or anything, just the number, because we have the word years in the question. Okay, so 150. 150. Very good. A lot of you caught it. That's great. Okay, and one of the former students donated the pub after they died, and that pub gives 30, 40, or 3% discount for students. I don't think students would be too happy with a 3%, so no way. 40, probably not. So A, again, is the correct answer. 30%. Make sure you put A into the answer key and not 30%. Okay, A. All right. Summary completion, a little bit more challenging. In front of the library, there's a beautiful what for number 17? What's in front of the library? And it was donated by an artist, right? So what is in front? Very good. A water fountain. Fountain, right? You don't need to write water fountain. Just fountain is okay. It's a fountain. Yeah, that shoots water. Right? It's a water fountain. Okay. Inside the library, the ground floor has how many books? How many books on the ground floor? 1 million? 1,000? 1 trillion? How many? How many books on the ground floor? It's kind of an interesting one. No books. That's right. There are no books. Has no books. Tour guide says that twice, right? To keep them safe from water damage. The upper floors have over 3 million books. The collection was built by donations, gifts, and university purchases. Additionally, there is a, what is there? This was a Band 9 level question. I wonder if anybody got it correct. Number 19. So anybody get that correct? Almost, Rajveer. Almost. You're missing an S. Yeah, Hikmatillo, that's right. It's called a special collections. It's a tricky one. Special collections. Okay, you needed the S there. If you just write special collection area, it's not right. It has to be special collections area. It's specific to this kind of a place in the library. It's a Band 9 level question. If you didn't get it, it's okay. There are many sporting facilities, including the rugby field, which is home to the rugby team, which has won 3 of the past 5 what? What has the... Sisi Fan, very good. So what has the rugby team won? Has won 3 of the past 5, not years. Again, it was a tricky one. You don't win the years, you win the national championships. The reason why it can't be years is because with years it would be an incomplete sentence. Okay? So it has to be national championships, and if you want to be very accurate, it's capital N, capital C, because it's the name of a very specific championship, but they would take small n, small c here. So lowercase is okay as well. Okay? All right, so those were the answers. These last 2, of course, more challenging, looking for those Band 8, 9 level students. Add up your scores. What did you get out of 20, students? So Section 1, Section 2, what was your score out of 20? Now, if you're going for a Band 7, you should be aiming for at least about 15 plus in these first 2 sections, okay? Because Section 3 and 4, Part 3 and 4 are going to be even more challenging. Okay, so if you got more than 15, you're doing okay to get a Band 6.5 or 7 at least. All right? Okay, students, if you liked this listening practice and this lesson, make sure to come back tomorrow for Part 3 and Part 4 at the same time. And also, make sure to register for our premium package at aehelp.com. You'll get 20% off if you use the code R4TYJ. Well, you can see that. So it's R4TYJ. You can get a 20% discount today from our premium package. Again, when you're looking for that, this is our academic web portal here. That's what we used for the listening audio. Okay, there you'll see me as well. And for the general IELTS, it's the green background, same code. That's it for today, students. And I will be back tomorrow. Keep in mind all of these points for those multiple choice questions, okay? Those will help you a lot. Make sure to practice those. So again, visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general. Have an awesome rest of your Thursday. If it's late in your country, then sweet dreams. And again, I will see you tomorrow. Much love from Budapest. Bye for now.